was savage. In action. Hello and welcome back to another episode of Fumbling Through the Galaxy with your host, Severus Snape. Today's episode is going to be a really fun one because we're looking at one of the most iconic characters in all of Star Wars and a new statue from Kotobukiya, which I think is one of the best representations of this specific character. I'm speaking of none other than Darth Maul. So if you're someone who's come to just look at the toy, by all means, skip ahead. You'll see the review at the end of the video. You'll see us looking at this toy. It is a banger. For those of you who want to talk a little Maul, stick around and let's get to it. So this version of Maul that's done by Kotobukiya is actually called Maul NightBrotjher, which of course is in reference to his roots. And we've already talked about on prior episodes, where he's from, culture, race, planet. So we won't go over that again. However, what's interesting to me is really what this represents, as far as I'm concerned, is actually what I call Savage Maul. So this is Maul at his absolute fiercest. And now, did we get a fierce Maul in movies? Kinda. We have a moment where he's got that, of course, the Duel of the Fates. The famous fight, and we can kind of see some of that anger in him. But really, it's not until the Clone Wars, and then, of course, Rebels, that we got to see a much more sinister side of Maul.
Revenge. I must have revenge.
More unhinged, more fierce, more savage, as I like to refer to that version of him. But even that isn't as good as what I think is the best representation of fierce or savage Maul, which is literary Maul. So specifically Shadowhunter. Shadowhunter, to me, it's a Legends book, first of all, so it takes place in the Legends, what is now being reclassified as Legends, so it's no longer canon. And it was one of the best books that I've ever read, not only in the Star Wars universe, but specifically on Darth Maul. And in this book, we get this unstoppable, single-minded, single-focused, angry and savage hunter, hence the name Shadowhunter, who is on the prowl for information that has been obtained by a citizen who actually was a data clerk at the Jedi Temple. Turns out his son is Force sensitive, so of course the Jedi, having the rule of no attachment, he has to leave working at the Jedi Temple so that his son can then be raised by the Jedi, and all that plays out in a series of other books, which are great, and I'll reference those in a second. But anyway, so Lorne Pavin is the character. Shadowhunter really is all about him coming into possession of intelligence and information that actually reveals Palpatine's plans. The plans to overthrow the Republic and create the Galactic Empire. And so what's really interesting is in this book, after the information falls into the hands of this person, the whole book, really, the premise of it is that he is now, tasked with getting this information to the Jedi Temple. And of course, Darth Maul is tasked with stopping him from doing that, and of course, eliminating anybody and everybody who has come into contact with that information. And so we're introduced to Lorne Pavin, and we're introduced to a great companion of his, and in the Star Wars universe, there's always great droids. They make them very sentient. They make them, basically kindred spirits. So it's really cool. And I5YQ is the droid that we're introduced to in Shadowhunter, and he actually crosses over several books, and these are the books that I was talking about earlier, which are Coruscant Nights, which is a trilogy that features Lorne's son Jax Pavin as a Jedi, and his dealings with the Empire, which by now, of course, is, or the Republic, which by now is the Empire. So it just a fantastic series all around. So Shadowhunter, Coruscant Nights, the trilogy. I5YQ also crosses over into Barriss Offee's world in her Healer series, the duology books, the Healer series, and Barriss Offee is another one of my favorite characters. So again, something you should certainly check out. Legends, not canon, fantastic books. So anyway, this is that version of Maul. It is him at his fiercest, his most unhinged, his most single-minded, and really where we see how much his anger drives him. And I think this statue specifically really captures that. So we'll take a look at it. So this is, they call this the 1/7 scale pre-painted model kit. You'll see it here. And what's really cool about this one is the boxes, as well as, I love my boxes. This one has a really cool art, hand-drawn art of the figure as well. And you can really get an idea of just the quality of this. So yeah, so Kotobukiya called this a 1/7 scale. I will, somebody, actually one of the viewers on another video was actually the Kotobukiya Captain Rex and Clone Commander Cody review that I did, was actually asking how they scale relative to the Star Wars Gentle Giant maquette series. And so the maquettes are significantly larger, and so they don't really scale very well. But what's interesting ultimately is, and I will do a quick video hopefully next week about scaling and the differences in scale, because they call this a 1/7 scale figure, which is interesting because it's as big as some other ones that have been called 1/6 scale, 1/3 scale, 1/10 scale. The other 1/10 scales that the Kotobukiya guys are infinitely smaller. So scaling with toys is an interesting thing. I kind of went down the Google rabbit hole to figure out how all that works, and I have to admit that I don't know how they scale toys. It seems like they just pick a scale. I don't know if it's relative to the series. In any event, if you do know, by all means, please educate me. I would love to know. In the meantime, what is your favorite version of Maul? Is Clone Wars Maul, Rebels Maul? Is it Literary Maul? Is it Phantom Menace Maul? Let me know who your favorite version of Maul is. I'd be interested in knowing. And also, have you read Shadowhunter? What did you think? Have you read the Coruscant Night trilogy? Again, let me know your thoughts on that. As always, like, share, subscribe, and let's get to the table and have a look at this excellent figure. So here we are at the table having a look at the box. Again here, as is always the case with Kotobukiya, you get a great rendition of the character. Again, called Darth Maul, NightBrotjher, and 1/7 scale pre-painted figure. Some great box art on the side. As you know, I'm an in-box collector. I keep all my boxes. And here, just incredible graphics at the back. I really love this hand-painted representation of the statue. What's interesting is this is one of the few artifacts in Kotobukiya that we've looked at that actually doesn't have a biography or a story in the back explaining their version of this statue. So yeah, here we go. So this one they opted to just give us some graphics versus a story. So we'll have a look at it outside the box. Let's get to that. So here it is out of box. Always well packaged. You get a set of instructions, number of the pieces, and how to assemble. Again, Kotobukiya for their artifacts, and actually all their stuff is a snap fit system. So this will be pretty easy to put together. So it doesn't look like a lot of pieces: base, torso, head, arm, and saber. So let's put it together, and I'll show you what it looks like once it's assembled. Okay, so here it is out of its shell, and basically, we've got this awesome base. Actually not too heavy. You've got the arm holding the saber. Really what I want to look at here is the amazing detail in his feet and in his tattered robe. As you can see, texture and detail wise, just fantastic. Love the feet. You can really see the amount of detail they put into these statues. I mean, Kotobukiya just does it right each and every time. So there you have it. Here's his foot. with the markings, of course, as always, they're snap fit, so really simple to put it together. There you go. That's how easy it is for Kotobukiya. And really what I want to look at as well is his face sculpt, because this is what I was talking about when I said, like, this is by far one of the greatest representations of Darth Maul. You can just see, I mean, his face here is absolutely incredible. The amount of detail in his eyes, his teeth, all of his tattoos. Truly one of my favorite versions of Maul in figure form that I've gotten to date. Okay, let's put them together. So here he is complete. Couple things to note is that the wisps on his robe attach at the waist, and otherwise it's all pretty self-explanatory. Couple snap-ons, minimal pieces. I mean, again, I think one of, if not my favorite Maul that I have statue-wise so far, and one that I think is worth adding to your collection. So once again, as I said in the preamble, let me know who your favorite version of Maul is, what books, representations you most enjoy, whether or not you like this figure. And as always, like, share, subscribe. And until the next one, may the Force be with you always.